Are we recording right now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been recording for the last 20 minutes.
Oh!
Oh, well. All right.
All right. Well, in that case, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Jay Bars, and welcome to this first podcast of Gamers of the Round, where we're going to sit around with some of my best friends and just talk about video games in general. Anything from political things around video games to some of the newer games coming out. Anything that revolves around video games, this is where we're going to be discussing it. And today I am with some of my two closest friends, Mr. Joshua Nuttall.
Hello, folks. Hello.
And Mr. William Not H. Macy.
What up?
And today we're going to be talking, well, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about Resident Evil 2. I'm
The
excited.
old and the new.
Oh, yes. Now, as most of you have already heard from the last E3 conference, Resident Evil 2 is going to be coming out in January of next month, I believe.
Yep. Early January.
Early
I don't know the
January?
date,
25th?
but
The 25th or something along
Early.
those.
I will dare, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Friday. I know this because I took Saturday off.
Sweet.
And
January 21st. No, that's the original. 1998. Let's see.
No, that's not the original. That was on Dreamcast.
Oh.
But it still did come out early 1998.
Yeah.
I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Why is it still the same
Well,
thing?
you have to click on Remake.
Now, did you know the original Resident Evil was actually like, a lot of people know it as like Resident Evil 1.5? They got like, the original concept of Resident Evil 2 actually didn't have Claire in it. It was somebody, I believe, named Elza Walker.
Yeah.
If I remember that correctly. I just did a little bit of research yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's considered 1.5 by the fans. I mean, people that know their way around computers and stuff, they can find a playable version of it, even though it's not like completely like...
It's like a demo version.
Yeah, you clip through walls and all kinds of stuff. It's broken basically, but you can still kind of play it. It's
Right.
still there. But yeah, they got like maybe 80% done with the game before they scrapped it, and then they made Resident Evil 2 the way they did in 1998, and they wanted to make it more cinematic and this and that, polish it up some more, so that's what they did. They went back to the drawing board.
I gotta say though, like, I'm happy that they did that.
I am too. It's the best game, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the better Resident Evils that have ever came out. And Resident Evil 2 is the one that got me into that franchise.
And the first game I ever bought for PlayStation.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I must have played this back in like 1998 probably.
Yeah.
'Cause I got it shortly after it came out.
Yep.
It was my first 3D console, so yeah, I was like 13 years old when I played this game.
Jesus Christ.
And dear God, did it scare the fuck out of me, Jay. You know this. You know this. But yeah, dude, it's a great fucking game.
I think, yeah, I completely, like, looking back at it now in today's graphics, I'm like, all right, this is good.
Dude, so before this happened now, I was kind of trying to catch up myself. So we watched the original, like a trailer or a review, I guess, of the original, and it's just so blocky, and it was like, the guy's all like toting improved graphics, and it just giant size pixels just fire out. So it's a little rough, but any game you look back at, it's like...
Exactly. We're going to look back at, like, games from PS2 era, like 15 years later, and be like, wow, those were good graphics?
I remember having a PS2 and like playing like Abe's Odyssey and shit and just being blown away.
Right?
At the depth and the gradients and the shadows. But yeah, we look back at that now and it's like, well, I mean, even if you look back, like I'm trying to think of an older movie with like some of the original CG. Like I almost said Jurassic Park, but like they use a lot of actual puppets, so... But like if you look back at an older movie with CG first started, and it's just so clearly obvious, like copy pasted on top of this thing,
Yeah.
So anyway, back to Resident Evil 2. The new one is coming out January 25th, 2019. So I was right on the 25th, which is exciting. And so we also watched the review of this, and this is the trailer running in behind it, and dude, it looks so good.
I have to say, like, I really love that scene right there. When I saw that, I was just like, oh.
He's like lifting the head and it's like splitting in half.
For those who and
I didn't catch the E3, so that's from the E3.
Oh yeah.
I totally didn't catch that.
So for those that haven't seen the trailer yet, we'll throw up a picture right now. of what we were just talking about, where Leon is pulling back the cop's head, and there's a huge gash on it. It's almost separated the entire head.
Which I'm assuming was the liquor.
Yeah, I am crazy because I got the collector's edition.
You are fucking insane. $200.
Oh, my.
$200.
And I thought you were crazy for getting the fucking Tomb Raider with the 12-inch statuette for $150 or whatever. And here you are surpassing.
Oh, sir, I need this. I need this in my life.
I admire that.
Yeah,
We've been waiting since, like, what? When was this announced? The guy wearing the We Do It shirt back in 2015? Was that when they announced it? It was like August 2015, and the guy's like, we're doing it. We're remaking Resident Evil 2, and then they said nothing for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And finally, we got this.
Yeah, exactly. And, absolutely. 100%. Like, there's a few games, only a handful of games where I buy them and I need the collector's edition because I want that memorabilia of the game. Even if it's gonna suck, I still want that memorabilia of the game because it had like a place in my heart for some reason, right?
Right.
I got the collector's edition of RE7.
Nice. And how do you feel about that?
I loved it.
Good. We'll talk more about that.
Absolutely, and a lot of the other games like Fallout and stuff like that, I got the collector's edition.
I think games like Fallout require that, yeah. They're just so big, and you just want to dive into that universe. And if you can get a little, like, a map or some piece of the memorabilia to feel like I was there, that's totally... Like, even my, the new Vault-Tec little list of achievements there I got for Fallout 4, like...
Yeah.
Dude, it's just a little piece, and it's like, but it's like I have a piece of the screen now on my wall.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I wish it was bigger. I wish it was a full-size poster, honestly.
I wish your entire wall was just painted like that.
I know, I should work on that.
Well, you gave me like the posters for like BioShock.
BioShock 2.
Oh, those
BioShock
individual...
Yeah,
they're downstairs somewhere. But those were really cool.
Traded those for a
There are
pizza.
just certain games where it's like... It's just like it resonates with you in this way, so I can understand spending $200 on a game. We've been waiting the past 3 years ever since it was announced, and God knows how long before that. I think everybody kind of saw this coming for a while.
Well, a lot of people...
They remade one a
long time ago.
So you knew that around the corner somewhere, Resident Evil 2 Remake was
Yeah, they'd be stupid not to, Yeah. So, like... I do have a question for you guys.
Sure.
And the first question is, what is your first memory of Resident Evil 2 or the Resident Evil franchise?
Damn. All right. I think I told you this on the phone, but my best memory was definitely going through the hallway with the crows where the tyrant would come through the roof. And then I think that was on the second playthrough, playthrough B or whatever, when you when
Mr. X was your bad guy.
Yeah. So that same hallway though, but like early in the game when you're running through the hallway, all of a sudden all the windows break and a bunch of fucking crows come in. And I remember I was playing and my stepsister was right there beside me, and without a word, as soon as this happens, she just stands up and bolts out of the room. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. But, like...
Never mind, oops.
Uh-oh.
What are you doing?
I was trying to have something set up, but
You can shut the volume off.
Yeah, I muted the TV, but I have to mute everything. I forgot about that.
It's alright.
So, other than that story, the only other thing is right in the beginning, when the guy's like, when you meet the guy, I forget his fucking name.
Oh, yeah, what was that black guy's name?
That was Marvin.
Marvin.
That was Marvin. That was the cop.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
But the dude in the very beginning, he's in the ammunition shop or gun shop.
The gun shop.
Yeah. I don't remember his name, but I remember looking around. I'm like, okay, I'm in a gun shop, so I'm gonna look for some bullets or something. You know what I mean? And I go down this one area. I pick something up, and then as I'm coming back, I hear the windows breaking. And then he shoots one with like his crossbow or whatever, but they just overwhelm him, pin him to the ground, and that yell that it's so iconic. I can hear it in my head. When he just like, I was like, no, what? And then of course I ran away. So.
You got to make it clean break of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh man, yes. Oh god,
It's that yell. That's what I remember the most. So.
Oh my god, that I have to say for mine, my favorite moment, scariest moment, the moment that lingered with me the entire time, and there were a lot. But the first time I ever made it into the interrogation room.
The interrogation room.
The two-way mirror.
The two-way... Oh, yes. Okay.
A lot of people will understand what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
For those who do not know what I'm talking about, you walk into this interrogation room, and because you have to pick up a piece of a puzzle and something stupid, as soon as you grab it, you turn around and start walking away.
Dude, it's so crazy to think.
Fucking liquor just jumps right out at you and starts attacking you relentlessly. I'm like,
Thinking about that right now just makes me think like, okay, so that whole time I was in that room, that liquor was just chilling in there watching me?
Yeah.
Waiting for his moment? Like, that's creepy as hell.
It's fucked
but
up,
yeah,
right?
I remember that vividly as well, yeah.
Oh my god, that was definitely one of my favorite moments of RE2. That moment right there was solidified in my head. Yes, this is a horror game.
My first experience with Resident Evil wasn't Resident Evil 2. It was actually I had the PlayStation 1 and I got the director's cut of the original. So my first take of Resident Evil was the first story in the mansion, but I had the director's cut, which is maybe slightly improved graphics. Like I think what was it?
Was it the DualShock version?
Yeah, that might have.
Yeah,
been,
they had Resident Evil DualShock.
That was right when PlayStation started to like hit with that new controller with the double sticks.
Yeah, the double sticks,
which has changed controllers for the since history forever.
Yeah,
but so the director's cut was my first reference or introduction into the world, and I am glad that I started with the first game. But
it's the only thing that I regret is that I started with 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started with 2 as well, and I don't regret it. I don't.
Really?
Because even when I went back, I have great memories of both those games. I remember where I was living when I got the second game. It was in an apartment, and then after I played the game, probably like, I don't know, a year later, I got the first one. And this was when my family had rented its first house. And my gameplay setup was in the basement. And we're talking this basement, you locked the bulkhead with a board. Like, you put the board up, like classic style. So, and this was not a furnished basement either. So it's just, I had like 2 TVs set up. One was like my Super Nintendo and one was my PlayStation. And it was on an old washer and dryer. So this is where I went and I started playing that first Resident Evil game. After Resident Evil 2.
Yep.
And I had terrible nightmares. This game, even though graphically it wasn't as good or anything like that, it was still the Resident Evil that I loved from Resident Evil 2, and it did just as much damage as Resident Evil 2 did. Probably more, to be honest. But yeah, I remember going and checking the front and back door of my house every night, like 2 or 3 times. I would go lock the front door, and then go to the back, lock it, and be like, did I lock the front door? And then I'd go back over there. I'd like go to sleep with my door like open so I could tell like if something crawled in. I was a little kid, so this shit fucked me up. But yeah, I have great memories of both of those games. But I think 1 and 2, I don't regret playing 2 first. I don't.
So when it comes back to my gameplay, I mean, I never really felt. There were a couple of moments in that game where it was like scary and it was unsettling, I guess. A couple of jump scares, I guess. But for the very first thing that I really stick out to me is that first scene when you really bump into your first zombie when you're in the mansion. You walk around that corner and you see this like security guard hunched over, and he just slowly does that that turn, and his he always says the eye kind of follows later, and I remember that going like, oh, it's going to be like that, is it? Oh, okay. But I was never, terrified, but I do remember falling in love with the atmosphere of the environments. Like, when I was in the mansion, it felt like somehow you were in this stuffy kind of old mansion. When you were, and I'm trying to think of, I guess you go under, when you're in the crypt, you're going through the outside in the garden area, and I think there might be snakes out there at first. And you have to put a crank in something to lower water.
Yeah.
I remember I had to do that puzzle 3 or 4 times. and that's what really grabbed me was the atmosphere and the puzzles. That's way more my style. I'm not the run and
that
gun.
seems like your style.
Yeah, but so when it comes to me trying to figure out like, okay, well, what do you even need me to do? And Resident Evil never really held your hand and like explained exactly, but like you'd find a crank, and then you'd find something that says, hey, it needs a crank, and you'd just like, oh, okay, well that's where that goes.
Yeah.
I think what was another scene? I think do you go down into a crypt, and then you have to like release a coffin? Is that one?
That's the remake.
That's Resident Evil 1 remake.
Okay.
So that's the one that came out for the
GameCube,
GameCube. Yeah, because there was a whole boatload of lore that they apparently never added into the first Resident Evil, right?
Okay.
And what was her name? Lisa
Trevor.
Lisa Trevor is one of those things that they never entered into the first Resident Evil.
Yeah, I think everything was like in files in the very original. You read about her,
about
the
Lisa.
family and all that,
Yeah.
but like they added her
Yeah.
to the remake, as a part of the story.
Exactly. So, they brain fart. Yeah. So, yeah, the Lisa Trevor was part of the remake. But yeah, you did go down in tunnels, like a cave system almost. When
The mines.
the
right?
mines,
Is that what you're talking
yeah,
about? That's
in the first one.
Okay.
And there was like this one spot where you're thunk with the crank rolling around, and like the part of the mine spins. I'm like, what is this?
I know, right? Who would put this
yeah,
here?
I do remember that. All the walls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the one thing. That is the
They
one
had a
thing.
clever doorway with that like mechanic though. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
True. That's true.
But yeah, I think Resident Evil has given a lot of people like good memories,
Absolutely.
like in most instances, and a lot of the cases, the games have always been kind of good, like either okay to like, oh my god, I'm going to jerk off on this disc right now.
Never felt that about a game.
Sir, you have not lived until you jerked off on a PlayStation disc.
It's euphoric.
It's but
Jill sandwich.
yeah. Oh my god! Back in the days of Kazaa.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Jill sandwich. Oh yeah. Here's some Resident Evil. Yeah,
This is the director's cut here.
Oh, the good old days where like, the blood was squares.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I loved it. Oh my god, back in the day.
See, games like this though, like you remember them so well. It's like not even about the graphics because when you're thinking
You do melt into it.
It's just like the whole experience. Like,
Well, this is that atmosphere. You know what I mean? All those pre-rendered backgrounds and like that totally sells this world, even though it looks pixelated comparatively to today. You know, and it really.
When they stopped doing the pre-rendered backgrounds was when was that? That was Code Veronica.
I would probably say the last game that they did make with those kind of like backgrounds and stuff was Resident Evil 0. I believe that Resident Evil 0 for the GameCube.
But that was that had animated backgrounds. It was.
But it was still like still camera, like pre-rendered. Like, there were fire graphics and stuff.
I remember that was an overhaul. I thought that was.
But it was still that same, like, if I go off the screen over here, is there going to be a zombie that I'm not seeing right now? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that was the last one that they made like that.
Exactly. I was trying to think that because Code Veronica had the same camera things, but they also had mobile cameras.
That's true. Very like Silent Hill-ish, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Where every now and then you'd be running down a hall and it'd go to the front of you and just trail as you're going. You're like, oh, am I going to run into something?
Which is still effective. Yeah. It was still effective.
Yeah. But actually, you know what? Since we're talking about others, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What was your favorite Resident Evil game, other than 2?
Okay. I was going to say...
Because I think we're all in agreement here that 2 was kind of a masterpiece.
I think that's a general consensus for the entire,
Yeah. what was your favorite in the series? What other game was just like, yes, this is true Resident Evil. This feels right.
Okay. I'm going to start by saying the Resident Evil 1 remake. Can I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That game's brilliant. I probably played it like 7-8 times.
Oh, shit.
Actually, a few years ago, when I wasn't working that much, I was doing Twitch. I was streaming and stuff, and I had some fun. I've kind of gotten away from that, but that was the first game that I played, and I got quite a bit of people in there, like watching and like kind of communicating. And a lot of my, I had about 20 followers when I was done with Twitch, but a majority of those were definitely from that first playthrough of Resident Evil,
right.
Which kind of took me by surprise because I really wanted to play the game, and that's really what pushed me to do it. But I was unsure of whether people even cared about this game anymore.
Right.
It's been out for years. What was it, 2003 or something that game came out?
Yeah.
So it was a while back. What is it? Well, either way, yeah. I think it was early, like, 2000s or whatever. But, yes, I would have to say the remake. There's only one other game that I would say would be a favorite, and I think one of you two would probably cover that.
I'm probably going to pick that next. I'll go next. I'm going to say 7. I'm going to say the most recent, Biohazard. And the reason why I picked that is because as much as the original, like, director's cut, that was my first introduction, and, you always fall in love with your first. So, like, when it comes to Resident Evil, that's what, like, set the tone for me, was the director's cut. And then, again, I played 2, I think. I definitely watched Will play through a bunch of different versions. I even played, I think, 0 with you, or watched you play.
You gave me the money to buy that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Back in the day.
I traded to work at Marion Manor. I made him do the dishes for $6. I'm like, I'll pay you $60. Just take over dishes.
Says he made me do the dishes for $60.
So anyway, but so I like that.
It was a great trade-off. It really was.
But so I like that game in particular because it had that dynamic where you were playing as 2 people and you had to kind of like go and do a thing and then catch up with the other person.
Right.
So that was a neat mechanic, but I'm picking 7 as my go-to because it's taken everything that all the other games were built off of and includes the newer games from 4, 5, 6, where it totally went 3D, more action adventure, straight up into more just action shooter. It took all of that old lore and story and characters, all of the new elements of 3D fighting and coolness, and put you in this, fucking country bumpkin house with these weirdos. And, dude, and it's like a mold, so it's like, it's not maybe a virus or it's a weird thing going on, but it's definitely like, Umbrella is down there somewhere, and you don't know how or why. And I think they did an amazing job. The voice acting, I mean, obviously the cutting-edge graphics they were using. 7 definitely shines out as one of the standouts for me.
I agree. I love 7. However, I had a slight little problem with the ending a little bit.
Okay.
That transition between, spoiler alert, I'm giving you a heads up, spoiler alert.
It's been out for a couple years, I mean.
There's still people out there that were like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe they say that. I can't believe it. Spoiler alert. When you switch from Isaac to that's his name, right? Isaac? Ethan Isaac to his wife, and you're playing through as his wife. That transition doesn't feel smooth to me. That transition.
Now, I didn't play through to the end. I maybe played a couple minutes with him.
I'm so sorry.
But no, I'm not even. No, that's what I'm saying. He would have a better understanding, I think, of that. So I can't really speak to it, even though Pick 7 is my favorite.
There's a moment where Ethan gets captured, and you wake up as the wife, and you're all of a sudden, go ahead, that's fine. The story of her starts being told, and all that bullshit, and oh, my key, and that transition from Ethan to the wife just doesn't feel right, because you start off in this awesome fucking creepy ass mansion, then all of a sudden kind of go here.
Is this in the beginning? No, you said this is at the end of the.
Towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a little more actiony, right?
Yeah.
Is that kind of the transition you're talking about?
Yeah, a little bit, and just it almost feels like they didn't know how to go from here to here, so they were just like, just make it happen, and they did. So I love the game. I still love the game. I still hold it in high regards. About 90 out of 100.
Like a 9 out of 10, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I loved it. Scared the shit out of me. Going down into the basement.
Again, that atmosphere, dude.
Exactly. Going down into the basement, my asshole was clenched.
Right.
But I have to say, other than 2, I will have to go with Resident Evil Nemesis as my favorite other than 2. Because
neither of you mentioned the game that I
was going to
would
ask.
Be my favorite. Just to cut in here, 4.
Was 4? Yeah.
4. Okay, but keep going.
4 is a very close right underneath Resident Evil 3. But I think I liked 4. I liked 4. I liked 3 a lot because I loved Nemesis.
Did you?
Nemesis was one of my favorite villains of all time because you never knew when the fuck he was going to show up. There were moments in time where all of a sudden the music stopped and you're like, oh no. Oh no. Stars. And I'm like, and I'm like running away. I'm trying to shoot him. And I'm trying to like, nope, I'm done. Nope, absolutely not. I'm done. I'm getting away from this. I do not want to deal with this guy.
I do remember moments like that where like you cut in and the music just stops and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. The
fucker.
The fact that the music just stopped was always ominous. And
they had great soundscapes in all the games.
Every single game has always had great music, in my opinion. Except for like the kind of weird side spin-off games.
I don't know.
I'm going to say up until 4 had really great music.
5 and 6 were kind of meh.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't very memorable, but they weren't exactly memorable games. I have a lot of memories about Resident Evil 5.
But that was multiplayer.
That we could talk about later, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say Resident Evil 4 absolutely had a great soundtrack. I remember a lot of that one. And then just... the music up until 4. After that, pretty forgettable. Even 7.
Yeah, well, I mean, 7
wasn't great. But
7 didn't really have too much music. I think 7 really relied...
That was more atmosphere, like in the house.
Heavily
the safe rooms were like... That's all I really remember. The menu music and the safe rooms with the chest and the typewriter. That's all I really remember from that game.
Yeah.
So go on about Nemesis, because I don't know much of anything about Nemesis.
Oh, no? Okay, so Resident Evil 3 takes place 24 hours before and after Resident Evil 2.
Okay, so I've got a page up here, and I'm going to get the photo, but alright, so yeah, you go ahead and you tell.
Yeah, so Resident Evil 3 takes place pretty much during and after Resident Evil 2,
which
right?
is interesting.
You play as Jill Valentine. The outbreak just reached peak.
In Raccoon City.
In Raccoon City, just pinnacle peak. As you're running through the streets during the beginning of the game, you still find some people that are alive, and you go to try to help them, and they're already being eaten alive out of nowhere by like a couple of zombies and shit like that. This is where you run into Carlos, actually, who is a mercenary hired by Umbrella to try to clean up their mess.
Oh, okay.
As this is happening, Umbrella has sent out I think, what was the term for it? It wasn't Tyrant. Was it Neo Tyrant? Or I don't know. I'm just gonna say Tyrant. Sent out Tyrant, codename Nemesis, to go and take out the remainder of the STARS members, because the STARS members were the ones that could testify and bring Umbrella down.
Because they had all the evidence being directly there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they tried to nuke Raccoon City. Umbrella did. Umbrella nuked Raccoon City, but even they weren't able to be protected from destroying an entire city and eradicating it. They called it cleansing or cleaning or sterilization or something.
Wait,
like
didn't
that.
they? Oh, this is hours before and after because they nuke it, right?
Yeah, so
they do. Yeah.
So this happens. So it starts a few hours before Resident Evil 2,
which still technically takes place chronologically after what happens in 1.
Right. Exactly.
Right, yeah.
So it
2
goes,
months after.
So it goes Resident Evil 1, first half of Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 2, second half of Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, okay.
And then
Japanese people, what do they do?
I love it. I don't know.
I get it. I
love
like it. Right. Jeez.
I mean, God, they make awesome sushi. They are sexy in bed, and on top of that, make fantastic video games. But yeah, so I think, Nemesis. Nemesis was one of those things because you always had that looming threat of Nemesis, and also Resident Evil 3 was the first one. I think the only one that gave you choices.
Yes, it was. It's because the second one had so much to it because you could play the game in virtually 4 different ways.
Yeah, exactly.
And then 3, they just had Jill, and they wanted to break it up and give you some different paths to kind of, make it not feel stale. Like they kind of backtracked a little bit.
Yeah.
So they gave you choices, and yeah, you're right. It's the first one.
Yeah, where you could either decide to push Nemesis off the bridge or run away. You could either hit the brake or leave or jump out the window or do nothing. You could jump down the hole because a crate was coming after you, or you could jump out of the hole before the crate hit you. There are lots of decisions that you can make which opened up different paths.
How many actual endings were there, though?
There was only one ending.
Okay.
There was only one ending.
So
Was there no alternate ending?
No.
Or anything?
There was no
But the
alternate
story
ending.
in between would morph depending on...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The destination was still there, but the path that you could take could vary.
So you could get a completely different story, dialogue, all that.
Yeah, actually, this was actually the first game that actually gave you an option on missions to take care of in different chronological order. You could actually go off to do this thing over at this place at the restaurant before you went to the paper place, the newspaper, or you could go to the newspaper place first, and you would interact differently at the with somebody at the pharmaceutical place, right? Yeah. So if you went to the, so you left the restaurant. And you have 2 options. You can go to the pharmaceutical location or the newspaper location. If you went to the newspaper location first, you fought Nemesis, and you could actually hide, it explode, and Nemesis would get knocked out, and you could run away. And then when you get to the pharmaceutical place, you have Miguel, who is one of the mercenaries, killing another mercenary, and being like, he was sick. I needed to kill him, But if you went there first, you found Marcus. No, what the fuck was his name?
I know there was a guy named Nikolai, wasn't there?
Yeah, Nikolai was the bad guy.
Okay, all right.
And then there was the other merc that ended up being a friend. Nicola. No, it wasn't. I can't remember. But you'd see him, and the guy that Nikolai killed was actually still alive, and he goes, "Kill me, please!" And you kill him, and then he'd run away. So Resident Evil 3 had those options, which was mind blowing at the time.
Plus, if I remember correctly, it had that awesome boss battle at the end where you had to use a giant fucking laser to kill the monster, right? Yeah,
I'll give you stars.
yeah. Dude, yeah, that was sick, man. I forgot all about that.
But didn't 2 introduce a little bit of that character path a little bit, because we were watching earlier and it was saying how if you play as Leon, you have a chance of seeing an Uzi in a locker, and you can leave it for Claire later. And
that was a very particular choice.
That was just on one particular.
So yeah, during that, that was the only choice that you could actually have.
Interesting.
And
but that would make Claire's game easier or something, right?
Yeah, because her weapons actually weren't that good.
Interesting.
It was a trade-off, wasn't it? It was either
it was a fanny pack versus an Uzi.
Yeah, and you had to choose as either character. If you played as Leon first, and you chose
the fanny pack gave you 2 more extra slots.
Oh, space. Oh, that's actually a good trade. Okay.
So with Leon, getting those 2 extra slots were very important because you got more shit with Leon.
Interesting.
with Claire, your weapons weren't as good, so you wanted to always give her the Uzi.
Interesting.
She also had like the lockpick, right? Was that?
I think so. I think
so.
She
and
had
Leon
the
had a lighter.
Yeah,
if you
Leon
were clear,
had the
you
lighter.
had to like find the parts for the lighter. But
some.
yeah.
All right. You know what? Let's go on to the next thing. I think we've already discussed this, but maybe we can touch over it again. Scariest moments.
Scariest moments. Oh shit.
Well, so one of the more unsettling moments that I'll always remember, I'm pretty sure it's the introduction to the liquors, I think. When you're in the hallway.
Why did I not think of that?
When you're in the hallway and they're coming up on the ceiling, isn't that correct?
Yeah.
And you just look up and they're just salivating and they're just and you never see these creatures before, so I'm just like, so it's gonna be like that.
What the fuck is that?
Right.
He looks like a dead guy on the floor. Like, can you see this fucking shit?
I know would you look at it? Just look at it. Just look at it.
I know you have no more head, but still.
Because I'm used to dealing with a carnage that's on the ground, but then I see this like skinless, muscly, weird, slimy
with the weird brain thing.
The brain sticking out. The tongue is crazy long.
It was basically just inside out with claws.
Yeah, basically, right. And just, oh my god, I remember that being definitely one of those spine tingling, like they're gonna go beyond just zombies. They're doing other things. Yeah,
I can't. Yeah, Jay does a good one.
So that definitely stands out for me. There are definitely other jumpy, scary moments, but especially in 7. 7 was definitely scary and unsettling in that dark horror kind of game.
Oh yeah, I mean when John Baker walks across the hall.
Yes, and you just right. But then you run right out and he's not even there.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, fuck this. Yeah, but that's me. Yeah.
What about you, sir?
Scariest moments, man.
I stole it.
I know. I didn't even think about that.
Rebuttal.
He's going back to the crows. Just I know, right? Those damn crows.
I still have nightmares about birds.
I don't like birds.
I don't like birds.
I would have to say the only thing that's really coming to mind. I'm sure it would probably be something different if it came to mind, but there was it was like in the basement or something. I don't know where it was, but like you go down some stairs. It's in like the back of the police station somewhere. You go down some stairs and there's dog cages. And there are dogs in the cages. And but they're not open. The cages aren't open. So they're just sitting there barking. And I'm like, okay, I need like this manhole thing that I gotta lift up or whatever. And I go in there and I'm like, oh shit, it's just any moment these dogs are just gonna break out.
Right.
I know.
That anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just barking and like banging on the cages. And I'm like, oh shit. Well, nothing actually happens until I think you get the manhole opener or whatever. I think that's exactly what it was. So you could go in this room and when you realize you don't have what you need, you leave and nothing happens. But as soon as you do have this thing and you try to cross and open that thing, they fucking break out. And these things are fast. And I've been anticipating that moment the entire time. Yeah. It's been in the back of my head for like at least a half hour playing this game. Like, when I go in there, they're going to jump out. I know.
It's going to happen.
So I would say that's a pretty good moment that I remember pretty fondly in that one.
I have to say, back into Resident Evil 2, probably one of the scariest moments. Because if we're talking about stress, I have to say Resident Evil 3. Because Nemesis. Yeah. But if we're saying just straight out, boom, there.
Jump scare type.
I have to say, there's a hallway in Resident Evil 2. When you're running down this hallway, everything's boarded up. Mm-hmm. Right?
I think I know.
And you walk through this hallway perfectly fine the first time.
Yep.
And then you have
camera switches to a new section.
And then you have to go through the hallway again.
Yep.
Hands come out, grab you, and I'm like,
pulling you.
Why did I forget that too?
That's a really good scene.
I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's so true.
Moment, I peed a little. I'm not joking. I literally.
Well, we were young.
This was last week.
I'm peeing right now.
You guys don't understand the brief situation. But
that was definitely I
that
remember jumping. I do remember because like you pass through 3 different boarded windows, And again, the camera switches. You go down a different hallway. You get to the end of the last window. I think it's when you're coming back. Like that dude. So you're not expecting it, and then
it's after you grab a certain item.
Yeah,
I think
you're coming back
down.
You got to go back the way you came, and all of a sudden they come.
And they don't even do anything to you. They just grab you.
I know,
and they pull you into the window, and you can get away, and that's it, right?
No, actually they don't even do nothing.
Oh,
they're
just wiggly.
They just grab you, and you're like, and then they let go.
Give you a massage, like,
and you're like, all right.
Thanks.
And then you run away.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Can we talk? We can talk about other games in Resident Evil 2 as far as
Absolutely.
All right, I got 2 more I want to say. Okay, the shooting fish off that dock in Resident Evil 4.
Oh my
right
god.
Before the big salamander fight.
Yeah.
The one where you're on the boat and it's like pulling you?
Yes, but before you even get to that part, you can, there's like a dock next to a shed that you can save in, and there's just fish, and you can shoot the fish to like get food from them. You know, you can eat them and replenish your health. So I'm sitting here shooting fucking fish, and then this fucking thing just comes out. It's so fast, and it just eats you. It's an instant death.
Oh, I
but
see.
it just like, and it grabs you right off and pulls you in.
So it's like
and I was just like, stunned. Like, I was like, what the fuck was that? But
that's something that only happens if you play the fish game, like if you shoot fish.
Yeah, you have to just be shooting in the water. It attracts it.
There's a pond.
Yeah.
And during the
Such a good fight.
and it is. It's fantastic.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the pond is there's a dock and whatnot. Oh my god, that was a little rough.
I'm jealous. That was good.
And you're sitting there, and it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was just like, what? What happened? I'm so confused.
That's great.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I had another one. I forgot it though. Maybe if I think about it later, I'll bring it back.
Oh yeah.
But what else we got here?
All right, so I have a question for you.
All right, shoot.
I have another question for you. Upon multiple questions, so everybody has their favorite character. What is your favorite character in the Resident Evil franchise?
Does Mia Jovovich count?
Yes. No shit, right?
All right.
You mean when she was naked?
Yeah. Oh man, I would have probably said for the longest time Leon was my favorite character. Let me think about it real quick. Do you have one?
I would actually have to go with I actually really like this character, even though I didn't like the game too much. Jake.
That was a very good game, actually.
It was
I liked
five?
his. That was no,
six.
I liked his gameplay going through.
He came in at the very end of the game, right? Didn't his character?
No, he was a playable character. Because in 6 you had 3 different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
You had Leon and what's her name? You had Chris and what's his name? And then you had Jake and Sherry Birkin.
Oh yeah, William's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's right.
That's awesome.
So it's
and
fun.
that's Wesker's son.
Yeah, exactly. Wesker's son.
Yep.
I have to say that he was probably one of my favorite characters. Jake. I didn't like. I liked the game. I liked Leon's part of the game.
I did too. The return to zombies was a big thing I was looking for.
Exactly.
A little disappointed, but
exactly. The other guys were always just like, all right. But I mean, Jake's story, in my opinion, was beautiful. I loved it, and I loved the ending with Jake versus the tyrant that was chasing after Jake. Mm-hmm. I loved every second of Jake and his story, and I liked Sherry Birkin as an adult woman. I thought she was fantastic as well. But
she reminded me of like Rebecca.
Yeah,
almost.
a little bit. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, she really stepped up. Huh?
Yeah. But I have to say Jake.
That's very interesting. He's your favorite out of all of them, huh?
Weird enough, yes.
Oh, okay.
Because he
kind of
was...
reminded me of like Dante in a
Exactly,
way.
exactly.
From Devil May Cry.
Yeah, he was very Dante-esque.
Yeah, just kind of like a wise ass.
Yeah, he just said crazy shit. I'm like, oh, well, this sucks.
And he could back it up by punching you straight in the face.
Exactly.
So, oh, man. Yeah, you know, if you asked me this years ago, I would have said Leon. I still
Wesker.
might. You think Wesker?
I
thought he was
always
a douchebag.
Yeah, but you always seem to also think he was
Matrix.
cool.
I
fucking hate Wesker so much. I love him.
He's a dick. He'll like throw his sunglasses in the air, beat the shit out of 5 people, and then catch them.
Put him
on.
I love that shit.
But, oh fuck. Shit. Barry Burton was definitely on the top of that list. He was a great guy. I just liked him as a family man. He was pretty genuine in his efforts and all that. And then there would be Leon. Chris, I would only say he was the best because he could fucking punch a boulder into like molten lava, and that's cool.
It's pretty impressive.
Shit. You know, I'm probably gonna have to go with Leon. I don't want to, but I have to because I think I wouldn't be true to myself.
Right.
Well, so what makes him stand out?
It was the first. I know it was the hair.
Killer
Remember
hair.
when I got that leather jacket with the thing, just like Resident Evil
bomber
4?
jacket?
Yeah. I wanted to be like Leon. That was inspired by Leon.
You even had
The
hair
beginning
parted,
of Resident Evil 4.
like
Watch
that.
it. Look at that jacket.
Yeah.
And then some fucker stole it in the game.
You even dyed your hair. You had it lightened for a while.
Oh, that was back in college. I don't think was that the same.
That was 2004-ish. Because we went to Texas and you had red hair.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah, and you had.
But no, I didn't bleach my hair to be like Leon. I will say my hair kind of looks like Leon in the way it's parted and stuff. And I did buy that jacket because I thought Leon was badass. So I'd be lying. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said he wasn't my favorite. So
Leon is a badass character.
He is. He's pretty cool.
So to stay to my roots, I'm actually going to step way outside the box here, and I only feel confident in saying this is my favorite character because I've heard it referenced in other reviews and other fandom videos that it is a character. And I'm going to straight up say the Mansion. The Mansion is my favorite character. Because not only is it your home in the very first game, but it absolutely has its own personality.
Right.
I mean, those rooms, the decor, everything they did to get that building to look the way it did.
They had a bathroom.
They did have a bathroom.
Yeah, the police station.
Unclogged the fucking
oh, maybe you're right.
tub,
Yeah.
and then the dude's like,
that's right. Yeah, the tub. Yep.
He's like, thank you, and you're like, fuck.
But I mean that whole setting of that house, it just felt like its own entity, and the fact that it was this posh, old school Victorian era kind of mansion with gold leaf everywhere and fancy marble floor in the dining room and everything. It also had these random puzzles that made no sense, and why were they built into this fucking house? But then you find out
his name.
The architect?
Yes.
I don't remember.
It was all like a large part of the story was based on that architect.
Yeah.
Well, it turned
Spencer's mansion, but he was just the owner, right? He wasn't the one that built it.
I don't think so.
Maybe,
actually. Well, wait. Isn't Spencer related to Umbrella? Because in the end, the fucking mansion is just the cover for the underground hive of fucking...
Spencer is...
That is true.
Yeah.
Right.
Spencer is a big part of Umbrella.
Yeah.
Like part of the bigwigs.
So because of that, because that's our first introduction to Umbrella and the deep-seated underground, literally corporation that it is, I'm gonna go with the house.
He was in Resident Evil 0, I think. I think Spencer... Doesn't he have a conversation with Wesker late in the game? Did you get through that game? I think
that's the only Resident Evil game that I have not gotten through.
Okay, I believe Spencer was in that game, but then who's?
Because Resident Evil 0 is where you learn where the T virus originally came
it's
from.
a prequel before Rebecca goes into the mansion.
Right, exactly.
That incident happens. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, out of all the different things that I've seen or people I've played with in that game, that mansion definitely sticks out for me.
There's no character though, just for...
but then again, no. So then I think if I'm going to go outside from there, I can't think of a human character, but I really like this is going to sound stupid. I really like the plant that you have to kill in the first game, where you got to change the fertilizer out, and you get this big fuck off thing.
Pluto. No, that wasn't Pluto.
It blew my mind. Like,
What was the plant's name?
I don't know why.
I think you're talking about that specific room where you
That's
have to
very
put the
specific
chemical,
room to
you
get
have
the
put
sprinkler
chemical in the
system to
water.
kill it. I don't know
yeah.
why, but yeah, I like that guy, and I like the liquors.
It was a memorable room. I mean, that is easy to
And then there's
remember.
this. I enjoyed the shark scene. I'm thinking,
Neptune.
Yes, yeah. When everything starts to flood, and you're like, I'm okay, and then and you're like, I'm not okay.
So
There's a
much
shark.
better and scarier in the remake, though.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes, the
So
graphics.
much.
I mean, yeah, oh well, yeah, be careful. He's still pointy.
I overstimulated him.
That's what happened.
But yeah, dude.
I also liked William Birkin, but that was just because, I was named.
For me, it's just
and
too.
for one of the first games I played, there's a William in it. And I'm like, oh, sweet.
This guy is my guy.
I guess for me, it's just that in that game, or I guess in that universe, it's just too obvious to like the good guys, and it's just too obvious to not like the bad guys. So for me, the characters that really stand out are the ones who are just kind of caught in the middle, like the turned dogs, whose face fucking open up like Predator and shit.
Oh yeah.
dude,
Was
how do
that
you not-
5?
No, that was.
Actually,
In
the first
in
I
4,
think the first
they came out of the back.
Yeah, but the
they
first-
were scary.
the first
Yeah, they
reference
were
Those
fucked
dogs
up.
were
the
scary.
first reference to the dog's face splitting, I think, happened in the movie. I think.
I don't think so. Those
No?
were all based off of games in
Really?
one way or another. Yeah.
I
could've
try to
sworn-
pretend that the movies don't exist.
The first one or two are fine.
I'll
I
watch
feel.
them if I got nothing to do. But
Yeah, eye candy, and it's like I get to live in that universe again. And of course, Mila. I mean, Mila. So
Yeah,
it's like,
I mean, Mila.
she's
But-
my favorite.
She's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about the evolution of the games?
well, so that's why I feel like 7 I picked as my favorite, because you see that clear
Right.
evolution. Like, it's borrowing from all of its history, and it's spitting out 2018 what we expect. And I feel surpassed. I don't know how it did in sales or review and critical acclaim and all that, or Rotten Tomato score, but I feel like it totally was the birth child of if all these games got together and banged consecutively and just one load after another just fucking fused
Next.
together into this moving on. I've had 2 beers. This is your fault.
You are welcome, sir.
Shit, the progression.
Yeah, like, how about you? How do you feel like what do you, like, see, like, through the evolution? Do you like what's happening? Is there a moment in time where you're like, this evolution of this game has just gotten way out of hand?
Now, with the Resident Evil 2 remake coming out, absolutely. I think they're evolving. Their RE engine that they've been working on is proven to be very good, very graphic, which they use Resident Evil 7, and now they're going to do the Resident Evil 2 remake. Now I am happy with the progression they are making. As far as once 7 came, I was very happy with the game, but a part of me, I'm not going to lie, was like not let down or by any means or whatever, but it was like, it's close. You're getting close, because I know what they're doing with 7. They're trying to like kind of like, make their old fans, diehard fans from the very beginning happy. They're trying to make them happy, but then they're also trying to keep the fan base that got into it for the action. Because I would say like 1, 2, and 3 to me are like to the T, like the formula. I feel like that's what I'm happiest with. I wish they stuck with that. I get why they moved on, because they want more money, so they want to appease to more action people. So they'll put some Resident Evil people in more of like an action scenario, and there's lots of explosions, and they get more money because now they got the action people coming in, and not just the strictly, my fan base is just these people that travel in a mansion full of atmosphere, and it's just a big puzzle, and you can get stuck for an hour trying to figure out where the hell you're going next.
And I think a lot of the community actually gave him a lot of shit for that transfer.
Sure,
And
tank controls and all kinds of stuff.
But I was talking to you maybe a week ago as we were getting sort of mentally prepared for this podcast, and that a lot of people gave Resident Evil shit for transferring over from the pre-rendered kind of more puzzle-based horror to this shooter action fast-paced thing. But it's their baby. And I believe a brand has the right to reinvent and to reinvigorate their old material.
Absolutely.
It's their material. It's not like they're taking some, like, for example, when Bethesda took Fallout, right, from the original makers of Fallout, which I don't remember who that was, but when they took over, like, I was a little hesitant, but then Bethesda totally kicked ass with it, you know what I mean? But they're taking someone else's property, intellectual property, and they're kind of making it their own story. Well, this has always been fucking Capcom. It's always fucking been Resident Evil. And they decided, look, we have this nest. We have this base of people who literally adore everything that we do when it comes to Biohazard, Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Let's try not to alienate, I suppose. Maybe it did. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it alienated too many of the original players from the camp. But I have no problem. I give them all the credit in the world for revamping their title and changing, yes, fundamentally, completely changing the core of the game, in that it's over your shoulder and it's 3D, dynamic cameras and lighting. But
I don't think tank controls would survive.
No, and that's totally right. That's totally true.
So the
I
idea,
think I disagree, but
really,
go on.
Okay. I think in today's day and age, everybody wants the maximum that they can get, especially from a video game. If a video game,
$60 is no small deal.
Exactly, exactly. But in a video game, like, if you can't look 360 anymore, people are gonna be like, "This is fucking." Just because you can't look 360, this is shit.
Yeah.
If it was, what the fuck are you doing, cat?
It's freaking
the fuck out. And if it's a fighter game or whatnot, the 2D background or fighting and stuff like that, people really dig that because it's simple. But when it comes down to like third person or first person shooter, they want the most out of the controls as possible. And us gamers have gotten a little greedy.
That's true.
We expect a certain.
Well, we've been spoiled. Too,
exactly.
So.
Exactly. We expect a certain X, Y, and Z out of this game. And
we're going to we expect it because we're going to keep getting it. Our graphics are only going to get better, and our controls are only going to get more so.
But I think they needed to evolve. They knew they needed to evolve.
Yep.
They tried something out. It worked very well for Resident Evil 4. They tried it again, more actiony with Resident Evil 5, and it was still received well, so they did it again with 6. And 6 wasn't received well at all.
Because it almost abandoned...
I think it was an outcry at that point by the major hardcore fans
I would
from
agree.
the beginning.
Because, and also that was the full departure, wasn't it? It went from any puzzle-based, atmospheric kind of game horror to...
Resident Evil 6 really wasn't that puzzly.
Yeah, it was just all like
there was a moment in the crypt, and like there were crypts and whatnot that you did have some resemblance. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Of puzzles.
Yeah.
But the problem was it wasn't really that many puzzles.
It's like they just kind of forgot about it. Like,
exactly.
they want a couple of puzzles, we'll throw those in there. Sure.
Exactly.
But to me, that's core. That sort of weird, again, why does this mansion have a statue that I have to put the thing in his hand and the statue moves to the left all of a sudden and there's a button to push? Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense, but that's exactly what you had to do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, but I want that in my house.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That mansion is going to be a huge influence on my house.
If you want to unlock the front door, you need to go into the courtyard, find the
tiger. There's a sapphire in a room. You have to put him in the right eye socket.
If you don't, then... And then you can knock on the door.
Right. Knock 3 times or you will be roofied.
Oh, Jesus. Kind of going back to what you were saying. Again, we talked about this last week. So I agree with you. It's their baby, and they could do whatever they want. They have that absolute right. They know it. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
The thing is, it is about money. And if they want to keep that baby alive, they need more and more money, so they take more and more risks to try to make more and more money.
Yeah.
So you got 1, 2, and 3, which have a very diehard fan base, which really only like kind of caters to like horror fans and people that like gamers like yourself, Josh, that like the kind of slow pace, kind of like it take my time and go
immersive
through it.
Sort of.
Yeah, and then 4 comes along and they try to incorporate some action into it, make it more appealing to other people that are like, I don't want to play this because
they've been playing Halo for the last 6 months.
Resident Evil 3 is not my style of game. I like shooters and stuff. Well, so they're like, well, we could probably make more money if we kind of incorporate some of that into Resident Evil. Keep the scary in, put the characters in there, give it the Resident Evil name, but start adding like more gunplay and stuff like that, and it does well. It was a perfect accumulation of all of those things.
I completely agree.
There's plenty of moments in Resident Evil 4 I can think of that scared the hell out of me that I'll never forget. The Regenerator getting up off the bed for the first time, hearing its voice. Yeah, it was fucking weird, and I didn't like it. And then just like the subtlety, there's like a big like jail room or something you're in, like a jail cell hallway, and there's this little like trash dumpster thing, and you open it up, and there's like a sack in there, and then it just starts moving for some reason. It just like, and you start hearing like the like just. Remember when we did the haunted house at Mike's thing, and I was in the trash bags? Like, that's what it was doing in the dumpster thing. And I'm just like, I don't like that at all. Bam! You shoot it, and that's the end of it. It just stops moving, and I'm leaving this area thinking, what the fuck was that? I have no idea what
affected by
it. Exactly. I was like, that was the only one in the game, and I'm like, dude, what the hell was that?
It was just someone's like puppy they didn't want, you bastard.
So those were...
Fill it with lead instead.
That's so fucked up. Bark or something. Let me know.
I know, right.
But, it's terrible. But moments like that was like, dude, this is fucking Resident Evil. This is what I love about Resident Evil. Plus, yes, it was more, fast paced. So, like, at one point I'm taking down like helicopters and shit. But I was willing to do it because the story was great. And
they did the
20
mechanics
hours
well.
long or something.
Yeah.
It was like the longest one thus far. It was longer than I think all the first 3 games. Because you could beat all those games in like 2-3 hours. And now you throw.
I beat Resident Evil 2 in an hour and 5 minutes.
I can beat the remake in less than 3 hours.
Yeah.
I missed by minutes, and you were with me playing that. Because I was trying to get like a rocket launcher or something.
Oh yeah, you beat it at a certain time or something?
And GameStop was calling me up, and I was like, fuck. Talking to GameStop, and then I come back, beat the game, and realize I'm like 2 hours, 58 minutes. I never got anything, I don't think, but so I was kind of bullshit about that. But anyways, so then Resident Evil 4 was making good money because now they're catering to all new people and their old fans and stuff, so they're like, wow, this action thing is really working out for us. Let's do 5 now. So their graphics have gotten even better at that point. I remember looking this game up, like just screenshots, hearing stories about how Chris's teeth are individually modeled in his mouth, and I was like, I don't know why that's cool, but that's
it's cool.
I'm aboard.
That's something that I'm going to be interested in.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the game. I have nothing but good memories of the game. I don't think at any point I ever thought like, this was a bad game. In fact, I was talking to you because you had talked to me about how your friend was wondering how me and Katie had gotten such a high score in Mercenaries mode. And it was incredible. We were badass. So we were a good team at work.
Yes.
Yes. Mostly on just like one level, the first village.
I mean, the first level was always the best.
Yeah,
even
it really
6.
was. I could play it over and I could play it right now. But the story was not there anymore. This was not Resident Evil anymore. So we're
aliens.
It was Ouroboros.
It was Ouroboros.
It was Plaga, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if you look into the lore of Resident Evil, apparently the Ouroboros and the Las Plaga is where it all started, and they got the virus out of those.
Oh, okay.
So apparently that's. I don't know if that was added in to
just fill it in a little,
to fill in the lore or whatnot.
I feel like it was a
but I mean like
where does the T and the G virus come from? That doesn't seem like it's a normal fucking thing.
No, sure, but I would have been not knowing. Like,
I would have been fine. I would have been fine with just the Umbrella is a genetics corporation. They just fucked around with shit. That's fine.
And they
That's
should,
true. That's true.
They definitely made it.
Ouroboros is extraterrestrial?
No, I think it's a bacteria.
Oh.
It's like a virus that they like made out of a flower. Do you remember going into the scene
like,
with the big cave and in the center?
Yes, it's a flower. Yes, yes, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
It was like they did something with the flower and it created this virus or something like that.
And then from that they took it and made that into the T and the G.
Yeah.
But the original
C, I think. No. It started as T, went to G, and in Resident Evil 6, it was a refined version called the C virus.
Oh, interesting. So then 4, though, or 5, is the original unadulterated Ouroboros virus.
No.
Where the head split open and the little dudes come out.
That's a mixture of Ouroboros and a parasite.
Oh.
That's why it's called Las Plagas.
Where's the parasite? Oh, that's Las Plagas.
Las Plagas is number 4. Las Plagas is the parasite that controls your mind.
And that comes from...
It comes from fossils, I think.
Yeah.
There's like a whole part of the story where they're talking about, I think especially with like, man, I don't know exactly where, but I believe like there's a whole level where you're going through these mines and you can kind of like, they talk about the fossils of the Las Plagas and stuff like that. So I think somehow they must have unearthed it and became infected, and it affected, of course, the entire village and the population in that area.
So the fossilized thing or whatever got infected with Ouroboros, and that becomes...
Well, I mean,
I don't think Ouroboros was in the picture in 4. I could be wrong.
Well, the Ouroboros virus was what started it all, if I remember correctly.
I couldn't back you up on that. I have no idea.
I think they found the Ouroboros virus first, and then they started experimenting. And the Plaga is like a failed, they're all failed experiments.
Yeah, no shit.
I can't remember off the top of my head though. It's not fully coming to me. But I mean, like, regardless, it didn't start off as the virus. It started off as this.
Okay.
And then...
But then Umbrella got their hands on it and threw...
Yeah.
Interesting. How does Umbrella make their money? Does anyone know? I mean, like, because obviously this...
Blowjobs.
Stocks and stuff.
Well, no. So my whole point, which is supposed to be a joke, was that Umbrella's investors must be really fucking pissed because, like you said, all of these things have failed miserably. Like, yeah, they unleashed this thing that turned zombies, but then we had to kill all the zombies.
Well, they were...
So it's like...
They're biological weapons industry.
So, but they must be doing other things to keep money on the books.
They're a pharmaceutical enterprise.
Yeah, their cover was pharmaceutical enterprise. So they created pharmaceuticals. So they made money off of that. Okay. And because, pharmaceuticals...
can get away with anything.
Yeah, exactly. They made bank.
Yeah, there's a whole story in the beginning of Resident Evil 4 where Leon is telling the story about Umbrella, how the government had found out Umbrella tried to cover up the Raccoon City incident with the nukes, and then it talks about the stock prices, how they go down until Umbrella is finally out of the picture.
Well, but it's
supposedly,
not, but it's not. It just
supposedly,
Well, I mean, Umbrella is bought up by another company, and in 7 you see what the company is trying to do.
Tricell, right? Isn't it something like Tricell?
I don't remember, but now Umbrella is a company based off of what they're trying to... The Umbrella now is a company that's trying to clean up what the old Umbrella is trying to...
So the new Umbrella is actually perhaps a protagonist?
The new Umbrella are considered good guys.
Wow.
So far.
So far.
Hopefully that it doesn't stay that way as a film of the series.
So, why would they name it?
Well, they're because some other company I think bought it up.
Yeah. But why would they make the cleanup crew the same name as the
I have no
first
idea.
bastards who fucked it up?
I know, right?
I know. The blue Umbrella now or whatever.
Yeah, like it was blue and white instead of red and white.
Yeah.
And Chris Redfield works under them.
Okay.
The BSAA,
BASF, yeah,
or whatever, loaned him out.
I know.
Yeah.
You can rent him.
$34.99 an hour. Plus tax.
Stop yelling at me.
Sorry.
Let me just try to finish up real quick.
Go ahead.
So 5, I feel like, is where they started losing their core audience.
Mm.
That's a big deal, obviously, because they got Capcom earning money to begin with to do what they're doing now. So I think they kind of took notice. So when Resident Evil 6 came along, they wanted to put zombies in there. And I think it was just another, like, cop-out or something, because Leon's whole thing was, like, he's facing zombies, so now you're going to get to fight zombies again. I remember back in the day when, 4 and 5 came out, people very early on were starting to itch for more zombies. And that's all I wanted, was them to go back to zombies. I don't care if they stick with the over-the-shoulder thing. I don't care Just bring back the zombies. So I think by the time 6 came along, they're like, all right, we'll throw zombies in there, but now we're going to put in 3 different stories. It's going to be this big adventure. And,
Right.
And then they threw in like crazy, what do you call them? Like the fast action sequences. There's just tons of them.
Oh, quick time events.
Quick time events. Yes.
Yeah.
They just, at this point, it has gotten out of hand.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, man, like, you know, I get it. Like, this is fast-paced stuff. I like it. But, like, we're losing Resident Evil right now.
For sure. For sure.
So, and I think, and it took quite a while for Resident Evil 7 to come along.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Years, yeah.
you knew that they were thinking about it. And they were like, okay, well, how do we appease the old people? Well, we give them, like, that whole survival strategy, like, you know, limited, like, inventory space kind of, like, environment. We'll do that, and then, but we'll just dial back heavily on, like, the action, which I felt in their first DLC. I didn't even play the last DLC for Resident Evil 7 because I was pretty disappointed in the DLC that came out, the free one. That was supposed to come out...
Not a Hero, I think
yes,
it's called?
It was called Not a Hero. It was supposed to come out the spring of that year, and it took them 6 more months to do it because they were like, oh, it's not exactly what we were hoping for. And then what I got, when I finally played it, I was not really happy with. I played it with you for like 2.5 hours.
I still haven't played it yet, but I mean, I actually watched it being played.
Okay. It's fine, but it's not... I mean, I felt like they were just trying to separate themselves from Resident Evil 7, like the main story, like all over again. Now I got this like gas mask or something, and I got automatic weapons. I got plenty of ammo.
Well, you're playing as Chris Redfield.
You are, yes.
Going in to clean up after the whole thing went down, right?
I get that, but I played as him in the very first fucking game, and he didn't have shit. So, you know, I just felt like once again they're just starting to stray away from it. But like again, back in like 2014, 2015, or whatever year it was, 2015 probably, they had said, "We do it. We're gonna remake Resident Evil 2." I wish it didn't come to that, but I am happy because that is like my favorite game in the series. Everybody's wanted to see it be remade ever since they did the first one.
Yeah.
So
I think
I am
Resident
glad
Evil-
they're doing it, but it is kind of unfortunate they had to go that route rather than just continue the series.
I want to say Resident Evil 2 is one of the first games I'd ever really heard any real conversation about a remake of, like an actual reboot. Like, it's the same game, it's the same basic story and levels and characters, but it's just in today's graphics with maybe even updated areas of going in. It's like, you know, stuff you didn't have before. I'm pretty sure that was one of the first games, and now we've got remakes coming out, and we've heard of remakes since then. But I've been hearing about a remake of 2 specifically for years.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have it actually come out next year. Early next year.
So okay. So that pretty much covered the next question was the Resident Evil 2 remake. The opinions thus far, unless you have like opinions. Actually, you know what? No. Let's go. Let's dive a little bit into that. The opinion thus far of what we have seen of Resident Evil 2 remake. What are like because obviously the developers have blatantly said we are taking the engine from 7, we're building the game from the ground up, and we're not going to put the jump scares or everything in the same spaces. It's going to be a different game, a different experience. So graphically wise, you know. Now that the police station has a bathroom.
Yep.
What is your feeling thus far after seeing some of the gameplay trailer? Do you think it's heading in the right direction, or do you think that I don't know? I'm still going to be a little apprehensive.
All right, I'm gonna go first because I have the least to say because I
Okay.
am the least versed. All I saw was the trailer today, about an hour before this started. I'm excited. It looks great. It looks it looks fucking fantastic. I cannot wait. I saw the trailer with the rat.
Yes.
With the opening scene where you're the rat at first. Dude, yeah. No, the atmosphere is there.
Intense.
It was.
The atmosphere, that anxiety, the tension. You hear these guys fighting. Like, what are you doing? I'm an officer. I got this. And then, so that's all I'm going to say is I'm very excited. I will definitely be checking it out.
Definitely. How about you?
Oh yeah, I'm totally on board with this. I'm super stoked. I could probably like kind of go into it and like nitpick and stuff, but like when I saw that, I probably saw like 4 different 20-minute gameplay videos. So I kind of got different like reactions from different people. You know what I mean? So
Right.
But it was basically the same layout and all that stuff. I love what they're doing. Going over the shoulder and stuff, you know, a part of me, the kid part of me, really wants to go back to like the old style, but I'm fine not doing it. If we could go over the shoulder, but still have the RPD station and all that, let's do it. I'm on board. I want to see this game, and I want to see Resident Evil come fucking back, man. Like full throttle. I want them to just come back. Resident Evil 7 was good for the fans. It wasn't a good moneymaker, though. It didn't make the most money.
Right.
So I can't really blame them for wanting to take all these different paths and try and stuff out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this one, they don't want to call it the remake, I don't think. I think they're just calling it Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to add remake to it whatsoever. But I think they're definitely on the right track. They're taking bits of RE4 that I love, and then they're putting it as far as the camera angle, shooting, and all that. And then they're going back into the RPD station, and
they're the story, even though it's the newest, I guess, Resident Evil iteration, it's still the original, just TNG virus. Back to Umbrella. We're not talking about fossils or fucking Ouroboros. We're not in Africa.
Right.
Back in Raccoon City, which honestly, I have to question Raccoon City as a whole, honestly, because first of all, Umbrella probably built Raccoon City as a cover. It's an theory of mine that I'm coming with, but the whole mansion was built on top of that as a cover, so that people could get in and out of that, you know, underground facility without being weird. And then the police station, which we're meeting in 2, also has the same similar weird puzzles, like the statues built in with keys and stuff.
I think it's because it's the same architect.
So that's my point, is that Raccoon City as a whole could very well just have been a test bed cover operation. Basically, the Umbrella corporate headquarters is Raccoon City. And that was their test bed, like what happens if there's a zombie outbreak.
Right.
And then you've got RCPD going in and dealing with it. And then STARS gets involved, which is their version basically of...
Special units.
Of a special unit SWAT team or something like that. So this was always sort of their guinea pig city, I think, for the test of an American outbreak or whatever.
Right.
And so I'm excited.
Interestingly enough, I mean, Claire is in the city and she's looking for her brother, Chris, who she doesn't find out until later on that he's actually in, like, Europe?
Yeah.
At Umbrella headquarters there. So they're not even, like, based in America.
They're
like,
not.
No, they're not even. They probably are all over the place.
They got multiple bases, yeah.
But Chris, she finds out later on, is in Europe trying to figure out what's going on with the Umbrella, you know, situation over there. So I find that very interesting. So, and I think all the games have already told us that Raccoon City was not the only experiment.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you look at Code Veronica, that entire island, you know, was
that the one with the zoo? Was that?
No. I still forget the name of that game though. What was that? That was the multiplayer game that came out.
Oh, that was the Umbrella Chronicles.
No. That was online multiplayer, but no, I'm talking about like you had to buy a modem for the thing.
Yeah. It was Resident Evil. I just called it Resident Evil Online.
That might be all it was. I don't like. That'd be funny if that was what it was called. But
oops, I don't know if that's right.
Outbreak.
Yeah,
Outbreak.
That's the one with the zoo.
And that
would be
mutated elephant.
That game starts the moment that the outbreak actually happens.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's
because
right.
you're in a bar and you run around
in Raccoon.
Yeah, in Raccoon, and you have different players that you can play as, each with their own special skills and whatnot.
Yeah.
And if you died, you came back as a zombie. And you could
I
start
forgot
attacking.
That part too.
Finally, why don't they make that a thing in the game? That should be a permanent part. If you get turned, you keep playing as a zombie until you die, and then it's permadeath, and you start again where you start off as the Chris or whatever. That should be a part of their. Oh, I don't like when this. Like, it's so easy for a zombie game. Just do that. No zombie game really does that.
You're absolutely right.
Not really. Not when it's like in time, like chronologically. Like you're a human, you get bit, you get turned, and then you are. Some game modes allow you to pick to be the bad guy, to be the monster. But I want a game in a zombie universe where there is a chance that you will be permanently made into the Walking Dead, and then the whole game flips. And then it's not about survival because you can't die. It's just about how much can you kill.
Yeah,
that would be. That I hope maybe I don't know.
Someday, hopefully, something like that
That'd
happens.
be great. Come on, Capcom.
I know, right? So, I have actually a friend, not a friend of mine, but another streamer that I can converse with. The Mayhem Vote is his name, and I asked a couple of people. He's the only one that really got back to me, though. The fondest memory is on Resident Evil 5, playing with a friend of his, Fluke Donut.
All right.
Hold on. Flukier Donut, sorry. It's even better.
Even better.
When we were about halfway through the game, and we encountered a jump scare that made me launch my controller in the air, fail at catching it. It hit me on the top of the head, so it bumped him on the noggin.
Jesus.
Broke and left me shouting in pain, down with the wireless mic at Donut, as he was confused as to what the hell was going on.
I want to know what the hell. That game did not really make me jump. I don't think so.
Oh my god! That's fucking funny. Everybody else just started talking about bagels and shit.
Oh, sure, right. Perfect.
So, and another one said,
"Hey, that's the next podcast."
Bagels.
Perfect.
Oh, you heard it here, folks. All right, so how about
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. So, okay, so we were already talking about Resident Evil 6 and Resident Evil 7. I think we hit on the opinions of Resident Evil 6 and 7. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add onto one of those games?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
we're good.
How about this one, though? Because this is a point of talk between a lot of the old fans and the new fans. Co-op. What is your opinion on the co-op? Because a lot of the old fans are like, co-op is the worst thing for this game because the game is supposed to make you feel alone and scared.
Yes,
but then you got people that are like, co-op is awesome because now you have that person that backs you up. Where
You have more confidence.
And you have more confidence.
For sure.
What is your opinion on the idea of co-op? Because I have mine.
I would say go back and play Resident Evil 6. Go play Mercenaries or something, because this game, it does not belong in it. I just don't think.
I think that they should keep it. I like it as a separate mode. You've got to beat the game and play it solo, and then if you unlock Mercenaries, then there's maybe an online element, I guess, or something. But I like the idea of it having it as just a bonus mode. Or not maybe not online, but a local where you can get two controllers plugged in and you can both play together as friends. I think that's great because not only then do you get the experience of playing the game storyline by yourself, but like in our situation, he plays a lot of games and I just sit and when we chill and I watch because I can either see things that he misses or we can just have fun and chat or whatever while he's playing, and I get to watch the kind of like a movie and watch it unfold.
Right.
So if we're in that situation, let's say we're hanging out one night, he beats the game.
Sorry.
He sees all of a sudden, maybe he doesn't know about it, but he sees that he's unlocked Mercenaries. He's like, what's this? And then he opens it, it's a two-player mode. I mean, that would open up the rest of the night to us fucking around and having like, holy shit, laughing. So I think that I like the co-op. I don't think it should be built into the game core. I think it should be an unlockable, definitely.
Okay, so when you're talking about co-op, are you talking about like a Mercenaries second mode, or
I'm
are you talking
actually-
about partnering with somebody and going through the story?
I'm talking about partnering with somebody and going through the story.
Yeah, I'm against
Yeah,
that.
I would agree
It's
with
supposed
that,
to be Leon on one side, Claire's doing her thing on the other, and you're left alone in there. As far as like a Mercenaries mode, I mean, do it all.
Unlockable,
You know?
yes, I agree.
Make
I
it
think
so you
every
can
single
get
game
bit
should
by
have
a zombie
a
and then
co-op
come back.
Mercenaries, absolutely,
That was
or
a-
a singular
That was
Mercenaries.
genius.
It was.
Watch him and Katie
I loved.
play, and I was
I
like,
loved
they'd be kicking ass and getting time
I
bonuses.
I love co-op. I love the co-op Mercenaries mode, especially Resident Evil 5, where they did the co-op Mercenaries. I think
Was that
It
the
was
first
like
one?
fine-tuned.
It was
that
really
four?
good.
4 was the first time they did Mercenaries?
It was.
no. Resident Evil 3 was the first time they did Mercenaries.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
With a
Resident
local
Evil-
two-player?
No,
Oh.
just straight Mercenaries.
Okay.
Resident Evil 5 was the first time you did co-op Mercenaries.
Excellent. Okay.
And you, me, and Katie. You and Katie got a good score, but you and me used to fucking you were like, all right, I'm going to go up here, you do this. And we sit and fucking plan out a tactic and shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was always Chris Stars uniform.
And I was always BSAA Joe.
The grenade launcher, yep.
And then I always, like, a lot of people hated it, but if you're at the other end of it, the right end, that electric grenade thing, it had a radius. Yeah, and then I'd shoot him with the fucking electric grenade, and as soon as he's hit, I whip out the Magnum, 2 shots, dead.
There was also the acid rounds for the grenade launcher, which was awesome, too. You just see them all wiggling in the green goo. Like,
It's true. I didn't find that as effective, though. There were certain strategies, like my electric grenade, then the 2 Magnum combo.
Yep.
Easy way to piss people off if you're doing that a lot.
Yep.
They're like, this motherfucker, you know what I mean? But he was just what worked for me. Yeah, everybody had a certain strategy. Katie liked Wesker, who did the, like...
Who dash, right? He had the fast...
He could do that, yeah, and then his like main attack was like basically an instant kill, and it's just like he does this like forward matrix jump,
force push type.
Yeah, and it would stumble a lot of people, and some people would just be dead, and then like you would have time to run away. She was always Wesker, and I would always be fucking Stars Chris.
I was always the BSAA Jill. Because even though she wasn't super strong, she had the ground attack that was almost an insta kill, right?
Was it like a tackle?
It was the knees,
It was the knees, so she'd hop up knee and they'd be dead.
Yeah.
So I'd punch him in the face, roundhouse kick him, run up, knee. And every single time you did that, you get 10 seconds. So I never ran out of time.
That was the whole thing. That's why me and my friend at the time. That's why we were like so good at it.
I was always like, all right, I'll be the time farmer. You work on keeping that combo alive.
Headshots and whatever.
I'll work on keeping us in time. I'll do this. And it worked extremely well. Yeah. And I think co-op has a place. Just not in the main,
not in the core Resident Evil world. I totally agree. It's always been almost lone survivor. You know, even when you were a team, you were split from that team for many, many chapters. And maybe you'd bump into someone else and you'd take over as them. But yeah.
Yeah. So how about this one, though?
Okay.
Throughout the entire series, there have been a multitude of major bad guys. Like the ones that always made your asshole just go...
We talking human and monsters?
I guess I'm talking pretty much monsters with this one. I mean, we can go with humans after this as well.
Sure.
But favorite tyrant or favorite monster that was always there in your face, or you're like, I don't want.
Can we first define a tyrant? Is a tyrant just an overarching name for any of the bigger bad guys?
Yeah,
the bigger boss types.
Yeah,
it's like the big humanoid
type.
But within the tyrant type, there are different actual bad guys that we could be discussing.
Yeah, you got like the first tyrant. You got Nemesis.
That's what confuses
does the big giant salamander count? Are we including things like that or no?
You know what? We can. How about favorite boss battle? Favorite bosses in a Resident Evil game. Okay. That way we can accumulate the salamander, the big worm, and also all the tyrants and stuff like that we had to deal with.
I would have to say that probably was my favorite. Was the Resident Evil 4?
Yeah. That was you're getting pulled and you got the harpoons, right?
Dude, yeah.
Or something, dude.
And then at the very end, you're finally done, and then this motherfucker has the rope wrapped around his neck, and I'm like, what? No, I can still die right now? Like, are you kidding me? And I'm mashing that thing. And then just as he cuts the rope and Leon falls back, I'm doing the same thing in my bed. Like,
tired, sweating, slightly erect, and you're not sure why.
I don't know if this is a fear boner or not, but I like it.
Oh, fear boners. That's got to be a thing. All right.
There is a big bad guy in the basement. Why do I keep thinking there's a big bad guy in the basement of 7? He's like a big molded...
Yeah. You're talking about like the last form of Jack?
Maybe?
Is that when he's like...
He wasn't in the basement. He was in the
he was in a different building.
Docks.
Yeah, he was in a different building altogether.
Oh, okay.
But isn't there a big scary molded in the basement of the house at first?
No,
that game was very limited on its bad guys.
Yeah,
really.
There's a bloated molded in like the barn area. But
That's not Marguerite?
No, she was awesome though.
She was a good.
She was.
that
was
spider,
scary.
the spider version or whatever.
Yeah, I'm like,
that was pretty good. Yeah.
And her fucking hive vagina, like.
Oh, that was disgusting.
I know. I was like, dude, like, no.
We got to put a few bullets in that and
I am
clean it up.
I am not shooting blanks right now. Real bullets.
Oh my god, that game was fucked up.
Yeah, I'll pick for bad guys. I'll definitely go with 7 for me, just because the atmosphere, the new graphics, everything just looks so good and scary.
All right, yeah, I get that. You know, I have to say I'm gonna be cliche here. I have to say Liquors.
But see, they're not a boss, because I was going to say Liquors like I had previously, but they're not a boss.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so if we're
because if we're just going baddies, then Liquor.
Okay, so you know what? Yeah, you're right. I broke my own rule. If we're going with bosses, wow. Holy shit.
I know, it's tough.
Jack Baker was a good one.
Yeah.
Like the first rendition that you find him.
Before his human form was the best. Yeah.
I have to say when you,
that worm part of him was weird.
Well, when he turns into
in the barn and you're up above him and you're shooting fire down there.
Yeah, he's like a what the fuck?
I don't even know, dude.
I don't even know.
Whatever.
Oh my god.
I think maybe. What about the first tyrant though? When you first see
first
craze with the eyeball and the shoulder,
it was that.
Right?
That wasn't. That was
William Birkin.
That was William Birkin.
Okay.
That's when you know what William Birkin.
I don't disagree. Honestly.
William Birkin.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because as the game progresses, you watch as he
morphs.
evolves.
It gets worse and worse. Yeah.
And it's fucked up.
It was.
Like all of a sudden, you see his head go.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, it like goes into his chest.
Yep.
I was like, dude, that's nuts. That's awesome.
that can't feel good.
And as you watch as he like just evolves and grows and grows and grows, it's holy shit! Like every
and
time,
then you eventually have to try and kill this asshole.
Yeah, every time I fought that guy, I was like, oh my god, he can't get bigger, and he got bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Turned into a blob at one point.
Yeah,
just a giant blob with a mouth, just
like,
teeth going.
Mouthy vagina just in the front of him. Just
God,
so fucked up.
So, I already mentioned my first one, but can we just say how iconic the alligator fight was?
Oh,
Even
for
though
sure.
there was no fight there,
I know.
it was just amazing to see a giant fucking alligator coming at
in
you.
the attic, the giant snake.
The giant snake, I thought
was a
about that
classic.
too.
That was a classic.
Only
Classic,
because
yeah.
he could not bite you. If he bit you, you'd have this whole side thing you had to do,
Yes.
which, if you're a speedrunner, you can't have that.
It would take
Yeah.
at least a half hour, I think, to get out
Yeah,
of
you had to go to the medicine room and then, or whatever, you play as Rebecca, I think.
Yeah.
She goes to it and comes
to
back
save
and
you.
heals you.
Right.
Chris.
Chris.
But the alligator fight, yes.
It's just iconic, and I remember just thinking that was awesome. Again, this is like the first PlayStation game. I've only played like 16 32-bit games before I got this PlayStation. So then I had the PlayStation, came with a demo disc with like iCube on it and like Croc.
Yeah.
And like, those old games and stuff, and Parappa the Rappa.
Kick, punch,
Oh my god.
And then I got
Parappa the
Resident Evil 2.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I know, I could probably think of some of that stuff too. I really thought about it. But then I just got Resident Evil 2, so we're talking one of the first like just crazy games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll stick with the salamander fight though, because that was just awesome.
Okay, so I already accidentally said my own, but favorite enemy in the Resident Evil franchise.
Yeah, Liquor, I'm on board.
The liquor.
Liquor.
I feel like I shouldn't agree with you guys. I want to, because I would probably agree.
Like, part of me wants to say the zombie. The typical dude
Yeah.
off the street. Like, he is what sold, he's what made Resident Evil. But when they update and they push a little further and they all of a sudden spit out the fucking Liquor, and it can climb on any surface, it can, like, hear you, but it can't see you.
Yeah.
But it's just as deadly as anything. Like, I have to say the Liquor is probably the greatest thing that they've invented.
He was definitely like the most mobile and stuff. Like in that sense,
He was
could climb on the walls and
Predator.
shit.
He was like a fucking jaguar. And
But there were others like him. Hunters were in the very
Yes,
first
the
game.
big
They
toad
couldn't
things.
go all over the walls.
The toad things were in the third one. The Hunter version, like I think the Hunter version 3. I think they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that thing would just swallow you whole.
Yeah, they could insta kill you.
Yeah. Crimson Heads were pretty intense because they could
Crimson
run at
Heads
you.
were in Remake.
Yep, they had the claws. That was true. You had to burn their body. That was a clever
Yep.
mechanic. I like that.
Going to Crimson Heads, that was what I was going to say was my favorite.
Yeah.
I know you wouldn't agree with me, but still... Huh?
I said, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, like, I understand why. Because they added an element of fear and uncertainty.
Well, and also the evolution. Like,
Yeah.
you killed that zombie. You're automatically written him off in your head. He's dead. And you come back to that room. He's not dead, dude. He's angrier.
I remember the mirror room in the remake. And that's the first time I really saw the Crimson Head. But, like, I remember, like, I'm going in this room and you could see them in, like, the mirrors and stuff. Well, you go through a couple times, but then there's one time you go through here with that body on the ground that you're not sure if it's ever going to get back up or whatever. It does fucking get back up. And it's running.
Yes.
And I was like, excuse me.
Right.
And so I start running. And, like, I just remember coming back to this room to revisit this fucking thing. And I'm looking in the mirror across the room at it. I can see its reflection. It's breathing dust. And its nails have grown out like fucking, like 4 times as big. And it's just nuts. And then sometimes, I don't know if you knew this, but you could just be sitting there not doing anything, and it knows you're there. It'll just come running at you. You don't have to just be walking.
Or make a noise.
So if you stop and you're like, and then you hear in the distance like craziness, and it's like, oh shit.
Yo.
You could not be moving, and he'd just be like, just start running. He just knew you were there, and he'd just come bolting. So it was always unexpected, and so they were probably my favorite enemies.
Yeah. I can understand that. I think I'm still sticking with the liquors, though.
As you should.
I think the liquors, like, as they progress through the story, they changed colors and got bigger and
musclier.
I think I grew up calling the older ones Nightcrawler liquors.
There were night crawlers, though, weren't there? Isn't that what they were called?
I think they were called Nightcrawlers because they were purple and their tongue had a spike on the end of it.
Yeah,
That would cause crazy.
Bugs.
The bugs were
from 3. They did a lot of hopping around and stuff.
Right. They aren't the mesh monkeys.
No. Those were the monkeys from 0, wasn't it?
1.
From 1?
The chimeras. Are they chimeras?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Those fuckers. Dude, it just like swoop down from the ceiling and like pick you up a little bit. And you're like, fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that was hard because if you remember going through that whole area, you had to grab like this bomb that you could not run with. You cannot run. So you had to walk the entire way, and those fuckers were everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was hard. It's definitely a very tense moment. But yeah, you had to bring this thing that you can't run with over like across the frickin' facility. That you're in.
So we've gone over a lot of key points. There's 2 more things on the checklist that I have. I don't know if you guys want to go over something. But the next thing that I have would be the history of the Resident Evil franchise. Do you guys like how the history is evolving, how the lore is adapting as the story progresses? Or do you think it's now starting to get a little too much sci-fi and away from the just horror genre?
I don't have much of an opinion on that, so I'm gonna just let him take over that one.
I would definitely say I've already said it. I feel like some of these games have kind of been like just they're throwing it in there and they're making shit up. Like when they start adding other like companies like Umbrella in there, just to kind of I don't know if they're trying to mix it up or if there's like I'm sure there's a legit reason for them to be, and I think I already said it. Tricell. I believe they were in Resident Evil 5. They had something to do with those flowers, and I think that was what they were called. Correct me if I'm wrong. But stuff like that, like Ouroboros in general, that game, though I had a good time with it, I feel like it just had no place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was fun, again, but it's just like, to me, Resident Evil is the game we're here to talk about.
Right.
1, 2, even 3. I'd even throw 4 in there, but again, that's a big deviation away from the original concept. And 7, though it was good, and I really, really appreciated it, and I'd probably play through it again. I still feel like, it's just like I don't know, it's kind of weird that it just had to come to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I feel like it just, I just wish it didn't change. But I understand the reasons why. This is money, obviously, and now they're remaking 2, and I am happy for that. I'm very happy for it, actually. I just wish it didn't have to come to that.
Right. I mean, like, I hope they continue to, do better versions of the games that come. I hope they do 3 as well. I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. But I also want them to take what they learned from remaking 2, and I want to see them
a new title
do Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I would love to see them take what they've learned and just go with it.
At the very least, I would hope they wait like a year or 2 or whatever. Let 2 come out, give it a couple years for development for the next. But I would hope the next game isn't another remake. I would like it to be a new, fresh Resident Evil 8 or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll remake 3. That's my personal opinion.
It almost seems like it's too much. It really does feel like,
not even that. I just feel like the game's just not as popular. Like, for diehard fans, again, like ourselves, yes, we appreciate the game. But even myself as a huge fan, I like the game, and I'll definitely, if I had it, I'd definitely play it again. Because I just like that style of game. But it didn't stick as much as 2. And I could be biased because, again, it was the first game I bought for the PlayStation. But I just don't think it was that good to be remade. So I'm hoping at this point 8 will be the next one.
Right.
I think that's where it's going.
I hope they do 8, and
I hope they figure something out.
I do too. I think that there's a lot of potential there. If they went with if they asked the person who wrote the books to come on board and help write the next story, I think, because I love the stories.
Was Biohazard originally a book?
No, it was originally a game, and then a comic book, and then
I knew the comics, right?
Somebody wrote a novel, like
extended
novels.
Universe, or based off of the stories we already know?
Based off of the video games. Like, it was the same characters, same plot. Same plot.
Oh, shit.
Just a couple of them were in different areas, So there was a story where the main character was Rebecca, and it was a different island with different monsters, and I would love to see them as they work on these books, because the books followed the games very closely. Like
canon universe.
Yeah, very, very close, very similar.
Interesting.
To the point where it could be literally canon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless if they make remake Resident Evil 3 or not, I really hope that they learn from what they do with Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I really hope they implement it to RE8, because the thing that they need to do is they need to give that moment again where, like, I'm on the edge of my seat and I don't know if I'm going to pee myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's
what captures the new players for the rest of their life.
Exactly. They need to fucking scare the pants out. They need to make me want to go, nope.
Do you think they stay with the same? Again, I don't know too much of the lore of 7. Whereas the mold, where this mold comes from, but they're now called the molded, right? They're not.
Yeah, this is simply the molded. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
molded.
it's like, what is this mold? Is this mold engineered by Umbrella? Is this mold?
No, Umbrella doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Technically.
Oh, that's
so
right. Yeah.
It was if I remember correctly, it was a Chinese-based biological weapon manufacturer that was in competition with Umbrella.
So now, how does it get released on America?
There is E-001, I think, is her code name.
Yeah, it's on the paper, right?
Yeah,
in that little room there in the basement.
Right. So the little girl. Do you know what happens
in 7-ish?
Okay.
I did watch and I did play, but I didn't play dedicated on my own and through the whole game.
Right. So, spoiler alert. So as you're going through the game, you see the old lady rocking back and forth.
Yes,
right?
I remember the old lady at the table.
So the old lady ends up being, in the end, the little girl
from the story.
From the story,
the history.
who is a BOW.
Yes.
The little girl is a BOW.
Yes.
And she is capable of infecting people and turning them into pretty much a hive mind.
Yeah.
So the mold,
she conveys the mold.
Yeah, and the mold eats the body and just utilizes what it needs in order to, do whatever it has to do.
A dick.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's why some of the things that were a little confusing in 7, because she can destroy your brain by thinking about it. But for some reason, even though it's implied that you're infected, you're not infected. And
well, right. And the thing is, too, it's like, is it something that has to do with her family's DNA that they can control the mold? Because they make them look like themselves until the end of the game, where they start to change. And
yeah, I don't know if she's ever started off as being human, though.
Oh, you think she was always like test tubey kind of?
Yeah, I think she was just always test tubey tubey.
But then she has a family because she's the mother of all Jack.
It wasn't a family. They weren't actually a family. She wanted a family because she had the mentality of a child. So she abducted their brains, pretty much, infected
all these different random people,
and turned them into her family.
Interesting. And then
that scene where Jack's like coming out like towards the end was really chilling. I don't know if you saw that, but Jack really opens up. You only know him to be this asshole dude, but then you get this like flashback or something where he sits you down. And
it's not even a flashback.
Yeah, I have no idea what it was, but it was like a fuzzy screen and stuff. I have no idea.
It's because they're all a hive mind. So even though Jack's body died, Jack's mind is still locked inside of this.
Oh, so they were just like
universe.
In his head, kind of.
Yeah, because technically you're infected.
Yeah.
So he was capable of breaking free a little bit and talking to you.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then he just basically apologizes and says, "This isn't who we were.
Yeah.
We're not these people. This is just what that girl did to us and all that stuff." That was a chilling scene, actually, looking back at it. And
I remember,
like, oh shit, this guy's like actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I remember being supremely unsettled when you're upstairs. I believe you start out and you're at the dinner table and they're all being super creepy, fucking Texas Chainsaw style massacre, right? And then you end up down in the basement, and there's only stairs down to the basement, but the old lady in her wheelchair is just sitting there. I'm like,
yeah,
Jesus, how did you get down here?
Next to all that old, like mechanical shit.
Yeah, there was like a furnace or something, and she was
in a wheelchair, there. I think.
Yes,
wheelchair,
and she's just staring at you.
When you enter that room, you hear her humming.
Yeah, humming, yes.
And then you turn the corner and she's just quiet and she just looks up at you.
Yeah. You know there's something up with that lady. You know.
Yeah.
Dude, and then like she goes away for a little while,
yes,
right? And then I totally forgot about her.
Yep.
I think maybe at one point towards the end I was like, what about that old lady? But I don't think I expected what happened to happen, and I kind of like slapped myself in the face when I found it. I was like, oh yeah, this fucking bitch.
Now it makes sense.
I know, right? Like,
bitch
how
with the
did I
wheels.
forget about her?
Always the one with the
I
wheels.
feel like I should have figured that out.
I know.
But,
so I think we're all in agreements that I think we're all hoping that Resident Evil 2 remake comes out to be fantastic. I think we all have high hopes. And I think we can also agree that we hope that the next Resident Evil
takes
8
cues from all of this.
Takes cues and learns from their mistakes, learns from the stuff that they did right, and still experiments. I hope they experiment still. You know?
What I'd like to see come from this engine is I don't think I'd be too against if they can stick to kind of the similar formula that they've done with the RE engine, which is basically the only 2 games they've used this engine on so far were based on like, figuring out what you had to do before you left the room, having designated save spots as safe zones, having to organize your inventory. That's definitely been prevalent so far in their engine. So I wouldn't be totally against maybe coming out with a new story for Resident Evil 8, but just kind of, I guess do what you did with 7, but do it better.
Right.
Like, do something more that makes sense. Keep some zombies in there or something.
Yes.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, just figure it out. Keep going with what you're doing right now. I'm sure Resident Evil 2 Remake's going to be amazing. Even if it comes out like 5 out of 10, I'm probably still going to love it.
Yeah.
There's so much that I just this whole discussion tonight, like revisiting old scenes from that game, like the dogs in the dog cages, the two-way mirror.
Yes.
Like I want to see if they do that stuff. Like in the remake thus far, we know that they moved the liquor from its original position that you would see him in the mirror, the window. You now see him in like the hallway outside that police radio station up on the second floor or whatever. Or actually, I think it's the third floor now. After reviewing the gameplay, there's like a whole third floor now.
But that could also be that they're just putting it there just to say, hey, we're moving it, and that it could just be moved completely when the game comes out.
Right.
Yeah. Even if the timing's different and stuff like that, what I mean? Like the liquor's in a different window. The whole two-way mirror thing might not happen the first time, might happen the second time instead, or whatever, or maybe on the other side of it, or whatever. But can I just mention how much I loved, like, when I grew up hearing about zombies, especially in Resident Evil, the movie, the original, the Red Queen says that the virus makes them go after, like, their one desire, and that's their need to feed. I remember when she said that, and I was thinking, like, well, why not go for some chips? Or like, why not grab a candy bar or something?
Whatever human would be normally eating.
She simply says the need to feed. She doesn't say the need to eat human flesh.
Right.
So, like, my original thought was, I love zombies. They shouldn't be eating chips and shit. But, they should eat people. But that was my logical mind being like, well, give them something else. If they try to munch on your neck, just be like, I got a candy bar.
Yeah.
And they're like, leave you alone. In the 2 remake, there's the fat cop at the vending machine, just slamming away. Yeah. Just like, and I was like, thank you.
Yes.
I was like, finally, a smart zombie. Like,
I remember Cheetos.
It's like, humans are fast, I'm going for Cheetos. Like, maybe get a Coke.
Diabetes! E7.
But when I saw that, dude, I was like, thank you. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Because his memory stuck around and he remembers eating.
Whatever,
whatever.
Totally,
I agree with that,
Yeah, so I just had to throw that in there.
I got one question before you get your last point.
We don't even have to hit the last point.
Right. What, in your opinion, would be the biggest fail of the whole RE world? Like, where did Capcom or the writers, where did they go wrong in your biggest opinion?
That's a good question, because there's a lot of good moments and a lot of bad moments.
But there's also a lot of bad moments, which I feel like the community is just giving them shit because they feel like they can give them shit.
Right, exactly.
Again, like that whole transfer of ideas from all slow-based horror to a little bit of action.
Well, keep in mind, my favorite character in the RE franchise was Jake.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he was
Jake
like
and Leon, and he was very actiony and stuff like that. But I loved his story and I loved his lore. I feel like one of the things that Capcom failed at big time and made people kind of back up and go eee was when they went from horror to action flick. Mm-hmm. It was no longer a horror movie.
Like they almost abandoned horror altogether.
Exactly. It was no longer a horror movie.
Right.
It was an action flick.
Yeah.
With Jackie Chan, Sylvester Stallone.
The Expendables 4.
Expendables 4.
With zombies or
zombies!
Yeah.
Pretty much that's what it was. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people of the old looked at it and literally said, this is not Resident Evil.
Yeah.
A lot of the action-y packed guys were just like, this is awesome, I love the action.
Yep.
But a lot of the people that jumped into Resident Evil because they heard what it used to be.
And then they got there and they were disappointed.
They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
This isn't what I was told.
So then would you say the failure was in that Capcom didn't explain the Switch enough or didn't have enough promotion the new way? Or
I think the fail was the fact that they switched too much.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, they did away with the horror aspect.
They really did.
I was no longer...
It was still creepy and scary, but it wasn't...
I was no longer afraid.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I loved Resident Evil 4, and there were still moments in time in that game where I was afraid. Mm-hmm. But towards the end of that game, I stopped fearing things.
Yeah. Well, then your adrenaline's
I think
going.
we owe that to Resident Evil 2 and 1. I think that pretty much made us build up a tolerance for these.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I can attest to that, yeah. But I mean, I think Resident Evil 4, I love the game, but I think Resident Evil 4 is where Capcom started going wrong with it. I think the game is awesome. I wouldn't change it.
It was sort of regrettable.
But it is a little, like you said, a little regrettable because it was so well received because it was a little bit more actiony that Capcom was like, they want action!
That's exactly right. And then 5.
Yeah, it catered to a bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. So 5 happened, and they did well with 5. And it was kind of like one of those ordeals where, like, because Episode 8 and Star Wars Episode 8 did really well. But that's only because a lot of people were like, Star Wars, and went there and see it.
That name, yeah.
And then everybody walked out of that theater like, what the fuck was that?
That was the most recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Solo was the most recent, but the episode...
Solo side project. Solo side universe.
Yeah, which also bombed.
Rogue One, and then we just had
Episode
Last
8.
Jedi. The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're waiting on 9.
So
I liked 8. I liked the Jedi.
I hated it.
So many people do it. I'm just like, dude, it's fucking Star Wars. There's laser swords and ships and space battles. I'm happy. I don't.
And then like weird slug milk.
Oh God, he drinks that blue milk and he's just like blue just coming off his beard, and she's just like. And there's like these weird fat things sitting by the ocean, and there's like, and you just see Luke just settle down in front of this one's teat, and he's just like, I don't even. It's just
What the hell?
It's fucking weird.
I think I would probably enjoy the movie, but I'm not huge into Star Wars at all. So like, I would just find it to be an enjoyable movie. But people going in there with a history. With
They've already written the movie in their head, and when it doesn't go to that key, they're just like, well, fuck this. I'm like, you're just trying too hard.
I didn't write. Back to Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Because we can talk
This is
about
a whole
Star
different
Wars.
podcast. This is a whole
we can
different...
talk about Star Wars for hours.
I know.
But back to Resident Evil. I think a lot of people. I think what happened with Resident Evil 4 was it got people of the old and new slammed into it, and they liked it. But people of the new were the younger crowd, and they wanted to cater to them. So they started leaning a little bit more towards them. But as leaning more and more towards the older, like the newer crowd, the older crowd backed away, and they started seeing their sales tank.
But to the benefit of the older crowd, I feel like even though they did kind of move away from it, they kept the franchise alive.
Yeah.
And so we might not even be talking about a 2 remake or 8 in the future if 4, 5, and 6 hadn't reinvigorated a little bit more fresh blood into the fan base. And now, 7 is great because it's back into that horror world. So now the older fans are back able to pick up again. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I can see why, where you'd go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think, I really hope that they learned that it's okay to experiment. Mm-hmm. And
Yes,
I hope they keep experimenting because I want to see them grow. I want to see the franchise grow. But don't try to alienate one side of the crowd because you want this side of the crowd. You, the pie is big, man. Mm-hmm. There's a big pie. Yep. You don't have to just eat one side of it. You can eat it all. Right. So if you're able to hit that middle ground, you can eat the whole fucking pie. It's fine.
What about you? What do you think would be the biggest fail, if any, for the camp?
I don't ever want to say that they've ever failed because I've always loved Resident Evil. I've always given every game that's ever come out a shot.
Resident Evil Dead Aim.
I could talk about those games. I could talk about those games. I liked them. Like the first, you're talking about like the
first person.
Yeah, that one. That wasn't Dead Aim though, was it?
I think it was.
Was that Dead Aim? I thought that was the one on the ship or whatever. But anyways, oh man, there's so many more Resident Evil games we didn't even think about talking about. But anyways, I don't ever want to say that they failed.
Survivor.
Survivor, that's it, yeah. I don't want to say that they've ever failed, but they've definitely strayed away from their roots, which is what made them so big to begin with.
Yeah.
I think they were given, they were put in a position, and they just wanted to make money off of it. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Because
they-
they were
It's a corporation.
Resident Evil was like the biggest in survival horror until finally Silent Hill came along, and finally Resident Evil had some. Maybe that
real
had
competition.
something to do with the reason why they kind of went towards more action and money.
That's a
Maybe
fair
it's
point.
because they're like, okay, well these guys. They got the horror end of things.
Yeah.
I don't see Silent Hill ever going like fast gunning, taking down helicopters and
doubt
stuff.
it. I hope not.
But I think mildly they have strayed away, and I guess I would agree with you. I would say the sharpest turn would be Resident Evil 5,
Yeah.
because I loved Resident Evil 4 so much. But I think you're right. I think that's exactly where it started kind of going downhill. After the game was done, though.
Yeah.
Because it was such a good game.
Right,
It was
right.
still Resident Evil to me. It was Leon and all that. But you're right, because at that point they went over the shoulder. It's more action. There's no zombies anymore. It's like that was a huge deviation from where they came from. And it was good. They tried to make zombies, but make them so they had kind of like a, they were domesticated in a way, and like they took orders. But yeah, I would have to agree with you. So I won't say that they've ever failed, but I will say that they definitely strayed away from their roots, and they're allowed to.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
allowed to. It's just, if you want to keep these guys around, like they gotta cater to everybody.
Yeah.
I know. And
So
you can't
I don't want to
please
be
everybody all the time.
selfish,
That's
but
the
you
goal.
can't get rid of that core audience either, man. We were there.
We
for
built
you
that
from the
company.
beginning.
Yeah.
You probably have $1 that I gave you
Yes.
when Resident Evil 1 came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You probably still have that locked away somewhere. So, like,
got
don't
written
forget
on it.
about
Will's
us.
first dollar.
So just don't forget about us, man.
Yeah.
If it weren't for us, you wouldn't be around. So.
Right. So I think that covers it. I think. Does anybody have any final thoughts on the idea on Resident Evil 2 or?
No, I
can't
think
wait,
it's
yeah.
all covered.
I think, yeah.
Are you going to be doing a gameplay when it comes out?
Oh, absolutely.
I know you focus more on
if-
retro.
She's like,
but
no.
No, it's just me. No, I'm planning on doing an unboxing
nice.
of the whole
special edition?
of the special editions.
Sweet.
If you guys want to take that day off,
I don't have days off. Every day's a day.
and I'm gonna be doing an unboxing. We're gonna be playing the game. We're gonna be live streaming.
Nice.
We're gonna be having a great time. So if you guys want to join in, you're definitely more than welcome to.
Well, it doesn't come out until January next year, so we
Exactly.
got some time to
Yeah,
plan.
you got some time to plan.
For sure.
Take the days off and whatnot.
Yep.
If I'm honest, I'm definitely playing my first time alone, though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I'll definitely come there, but I'll be playing the game first. Unless you play on the day.
We might play on the day,
On
but
the
I mean,
day that you get it.
Well, I'm sure there's gonna be
I
an-
have to play through myself the first time.
Wait, beat it by yourself before you'll
At least play it.
play it. So, because I'm sure there's going to be a midnight release on a Thursday night. So, let's say you get your midnight release, you play for the first 4 hours, you pass out at 4 a.m., then maybe the next day we pick up. That seems like a fair... I don't know.
All right, fair enough. But I have to play by myself. I can't stress that.
no,
I used to play.
I 100% agree with you, and that is definitely something that
Lights
I
out,
cannot wait
headphones.
to sit there in midnight, with the lights off,
Yes.
big ass fucking TV sitting there. I'm like,
Yeah.
where is everyone?
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I think on a final note, I think this is going to be good. I think this is going to be good for the franchise.
I think it's a good step. I
Yeah,
definitely agree.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
At any rate, I forgot what I was going to say. No,
I love it.
That was
Cut. We're starting from scratch.
okay.
2 hours. We're doing it again.
Okay. We got this.
Get more beer, Jay.
We got this. Hold on. At any rate, thank you very much, everybody, for stopping on by to listen to us ramble about an old school video game that, just proves that we are old farts and we don't like change. I am Jay Bars. This is
Josh.
and
Will.
And thank you so much for stopping on by. If you have any comments whatsoever on any of the topics that we talked about, be sure to leave them down below. And be sure to always keep that mug frosty and be safe. See you around. Goodbye.
Later, guys.